Welcome viewers to join once again a very important discussion organized by Patriots Forum. You know, Patriots Forum has been working to create awareness about patriotic feeling and also encourage motivation and also support for youth who would take nation to greater heights. And our endeavor is to bring to them right contents from right expert. Today we are discussing a very relevant subject which has created sort of controversy, and not the controversy as such. I have captioned this discussion as created controversy. So I feel that it is created controversy at Jallianwala Memorial, and feeling is that it is left once again at the center of deceit and treachery when they either discuss history or comment about the history. The newly renovated Jallianwala Memorial has come under fire, with historians accusing the planners of as if they have created a Disneyland, and they call it Disneyfying the monument and erasing the memories of the horrific day of April 13, 1919, when Col Dyer opened fire on a group of peaceful protesters, killing almost 1,000 of them, is left again at the center of deceit and treachery. Let us discuss the controversy with renowned historian Professor Kapil Kumar. He is currently working as the historian for 5 prime ministers for the Prime Minister's Museum at Teen Murti House and is associated as such with the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library located at Delhi. He is widely consulted for conceptualizing and developing museums by both the Government of India and the private sector for history, culture, and diaspora museums. We heartily welcome Professor Kapil Kumar to this discussion, and you have been very closely associated with live sound and museum program of Jallianwala Monument. Whereas contents are concerned, there have been very limited comments. Whichever are those comments, they are positive. But the controversy is created unnecessarily. What is the root cause, you think?
Jai Hind.
Jai.
Namaskar, sir. It's a real pleasure, and I must congratulate you for the title which you have kept for this talk, Created Controversy. I like to mention here that 2-3 type of attacks were made that day. I use the word attacks because there is certain section in our society which is using all forums, including academics and now heritage, to attack not only the present government, the Prime Minister, but the very heritage of India, the very concepts of India. And in this connection, they have made 3 attacks on Jallianwala Bagh, Smarak Museum and the Sound and Light Show, which Modi ji inaugurated on 28th. I also watched the whole show. Anyway, I would have been an aggrieved party that since I had penned each and every word of that museum and each and every word of that Sound and Light Show, the present Secretary Culture didn't feel it convenient to even send me an invitation. But still, being a nationalist, we work for the nation. We don't work for individual laurels. I was thankful that this thing has come out. Modi ji has dedicated it to the people. And the way people in Jallianwala Bagh, the people of Amritsar and Punjab have responded to it. The very first day when this show was made open to public, The sitting capacity there is of 500 people, where more than 2,000 people went over there. And it's a free show. People sat on the ground and watched it in pin drop silence for 25 minutes. The visitation to the museum on the very first day touched about 30,000 people, which in India is a very challenging number to reach as far as museums are concerned, and that too, these kind of museums of the freedom struggle. They couldn't find anything in the content of the sound and light show. The museum, they have not seen these critics. None of them has been there. They have not read the panels. They have not seen what the history is. And I challenge them that any one of them can debate with me if they think anything wrong has gone in that museum. Now, the problem with these people is that the same very people, there is a lady sitting, Kishwar Desai, in London, writing today in Indian Express. Some Lord Meghna Desai's wife. And I'll tell you a little later why she is criticizing. Or many others, when they visit foreign countries and they see the heritage there, the depictions of heritage, the showcasing of heritage, the visitor management there, the museums, the sound and light shows done by the corporate sector. Because if you go to England, if you go to America, if you go to France, you go to Austria, Italy, Spain, Greece, the corporate sector is very heavily involved in the conservation of heritage over there. And these people clap over there and they say, why India can't do this? And when India comes forward to do this, they bring in all the dirty politics. Under the present government, this politics of theirs started with the Red Fort. When the Red Fort was given to the Dalmia Group for its maintenance, they started shouting, Lal Killa bech diya. Lal Killa has been sold out to the corporate sector. And then I had to come out in the open. And I asked certain questions. And they couldn't answer one. And sir, Captain Saab, let me tell you, 47 till now, 1918, 2018, more than 200 trucks of dust, soil and garbage were cleaned from the Red Fort after it was taken over by the corporate sector. And if they don't want to give it to the corporate sector, my question to them is, why don't they allot funds to the ASI? You look at the budgets of ASI. Our excavations could not be completed. Dwarka, they closed it under UPA. When the whole city, which was described as mythology, Dr. Rao did the underwater excavations and discovered the entire city, their mouth was shut. And it's very interesting, I'll give you an incident. These fellows, you'll recall that in eastern UP, on the dream of some Sadhu Baba, our great Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji ordered excavation at one place by the ASI. The zoology department was also called, ASI was also called. There is a treasure. वो साधु बाबा को सपना आया था कि यहाँ कोई खजाना छुपा हुआ है. And none of these leftists and none of these critiques ever pointed a word that government public funds are being wasted.
Sir, back to Jallianwala Monument.
Coming back to Jallianwala, I was giving this explanation for a reason, sir. Yeah. What is behind this kind of a critique, you know? Now, come to the first critique of theirs. they say that murals have been made of the people when you walk into the Jallianwala Bagh monument. This is not done. The original thing should have been retained, and this and that. Number one, the original thing was depleting all throughout, and it would have fallen to grounds in a couple of years. They did nothing earlier to conserve it. Secondly, I'll tell you, when you create this environment of an event, and this is a sad event, there is a black day in the history of British Empire. For this, an environment has to be created. What happened their day, what was going on that day in Amritsar on 13th April, the day of Baisakhi, the day when the Khalsa was founded, the day when people were coming to Harminder Sahib for their darshans and all. And in that context, what we did was that when the people went for the meeting in Jallianwala, none of these people went in any sorrowful mood. All these people who went to the Jallianwala Bagh that day, there were already some resting there because they had come to visit the city on that auspicious holy day. There were many who were talking, laughing. So the people who went there went in a very happy mood with all cheers. And that is what we have shown, that the people who went inside went in a very happy mood, not knowing what awaited them. They didn't know what awaited them. And they went for that. So once you enter that, and after entering, even the passages which are there, sir, on those passages we have given sound effects. And not only the sound effects, those passages, the poems, the shairi, the ghazal of that period, which were made after the Jallianwala Black Day, they are aired on in those passages. In between, there's a black marble thing on the fountain. The company for which I work for this wanted me to select some poem to be put over there. I said, no, I'll create some new words and I'll put it over there, which reflect both the sacrifice of the Indians and the courage and nationalism. And you know, sir, what I put there is 13 अप्रैल की बैसाखी के दिन, इस 13 अप्रैल की बैसाखी के दिन वो जो बहा था खून, वो ना हिंदू था, ना सिख था, ना था मुसलमान. वो जो बहा था खून, वो ना सिख था, ना हिंदू था, ना था वो मुसलमान. वो जो बहा था खून उस दिन, वो था खून ए हिंदुस्तान. Is this an insult to the martyrs? Is it an insult to the people who sacrificed their lives there? And with these very words starts the sound and light show. Second criticism, they say, the garden has been renovated. Arey Baba, should we create a desert over there? It was Jallianwala Bagh. And the Bagh has been restored. So what is wrong in that? And thirdly, they say that the well in which people jumped and gave their lives that day, that a canopy has been made over the well. In last 75 years, no effort was made to save that wealth. It is depleting. And this is a normal course in conservation, because people don't know the conservation methods or what conservation is. I'll give an example. If you go to the Girnar, Junagadh district, the Girnar inscription of Ashok, it's a rock addict. So that rock addict should not die, or it should not be tarnished or something. It has been covered up on the top from all four sides to protect it from rain, wind, etc., whatever can harm that rock, and it remains. So similarly, to protect this well, we rather die down this well or we protect this well. To protect this well, that canopy kind of thing has been made at the top, and nowhere any other aspect has been touched upon. Yes, sir.
एक कमेंट मैं पढ़ना चाहता हूं और उसके बाद मैं आपका रिएक्शन समझना चाहता हूं कि ऐसा जो कह रहे हैं क्या मंशा रही होगी। हालांकि इस बीच में जाने अनजाने में पता नहीं कैसे कैसे लोग बोल जाते हैं, और सबसे पहले जो कमेंट आया था वो एक्सपेक्टेड था, और वो कमेंट को उन्हीं के पार्टी के लीडर ने और पंजाब के चीफ मिनिस्टर ने खारिज कर दिया। वो तो एक्सपेक्टेड लाइन पर था, उनके बारे में बहुत चुटकुले हैं, लोग हंसते हैं, अच्छी बात है, लेकिन जब कोई कहता है कि मैं बड़ा प्रबुद्ध पृष्ठभूमि का हूं, गुरमीत राय सांगा, डायरेक्टर कंजर्वेशन इनिशिएटिव CRCI, and he is heritage management specialist. While reaching to the reacting to the renovation of Jallianwala Bagh, he said, "I would say that such places of historical and heritage importance are being reduced to theme parks." किसी ने कहा कि डिज्नीफाइंग कर रहे हैं, ये थीम पार्क बता रहे हैं। तो ऐसे ही एक हिस्टोरियन है किम ए वैगनर, ये भी समझते हैं, किम ए वैगनर ये समझते हैं कि दुनिया में एज हिस्टोरियन उनका काफी सम्मान है, कुछ किताबें भी उन्होंने लिखी हैं।
क्या नाम बताया आपने इनका?
किम ए वैगनर।
अच्छा।
किम ए वैगनर, he has written a book titled Jallianwala Bagh, and he described the renovation of Jallianwala Bagh Smarak to mean that the last traces of the event have effectively been erased. Are they ill-informed or they have ill intention?
Sir, there are two things. One, they are ill-informed. None of them has gone and seen the things over there. May I ask this Wagner that internationally, even you go to Oxford and go to the citadel there, how it is preserved? Tell me that. Let him go to Australia, go to Belfast, Ballarat, or go to Fremantle prison and see. I am a historian, sir. For 9 months, who on Endeavour Fellowship was a visiting professor at Monash University. And I have studied deeply how Australia converted its convict heritage into tourism products. What nonsense are they talking in terms of conservation? Only conservation in this country is meant for Taj Mahal or for Humayun Tomb or for Red Fort or for Fatehpur Sikri. I can point out 50 discrepancies the way Fatehpur Sikri has been destroyed in conservation. But because of political reasons, they will not touch it. Though they spent crores of rupees, 8 crores, 7 crores, tens of crore rupees in conserving Taj Mahal, in conserving Red Fort, and in conserving Fatehpur Sikri, etc., or Humayun Tomb, etc. Had they ever thought of conserving Jallianwala Bagh? When they say that Jallianwala Bagh, this has happened, they're putting a political agenda to that. When I made the museum in Red Fort, 4 museums, these were army barracks, you know, Captain Saab, lying waste for so many years. Tourism Minister Jagmohan had got them vacated from the army. And the entire UPA government for 10 years couldn't do anything over there. It was decided that in this barrack the trials were held of INA. This barrack should be converted into a INA museum. The other was a museum of 1857. The other was a museum of Yad Jalliya over there. The other is a museum of Azadi ke Diwane over there. They are to be kept. In all over Europe and other countries, you see these heritage buildings still have government offices. Why don't they go and shout? Mr. Weger goes and shouts over there. Then why are you keeping government offices in these historical buildings, which are declared as protected monuments? It is on India that if India wants to do something, if India wants to improve something, that they will shout. And I tell you, had this been done under the UPA government, that Sitaram Yechury is shouting a lot of CPM. How many monuments they have protected in Calcutta, in West Bengal? Please tell me. What was your budget? You ruled Calcutta for 35 years. What was your budget on heritage conservation? Please tell me.
मैं उन्हीं के पास बात को ले जाना चाह रहा था. इस बीच में एक रेफरेंस मैं दे देता हूं और थोड़ा सा आपका कमेंट, लाइट हार्टेड कमेंट चाहता हूं. आपके दोस्त हैं, बड़े अच्छे दोस्त हैं, इरफान हबीब
जी, मेरे साथ के हैं.
हाँ, आपके साथी हैं इरफान हबीब, बड़ा सम्मान है उनका. He described renovation of Jallianwala Bagh as an corporatization of monument that was leading to the loss of their heritage value. तो कोई आपको अचरज तो नहीं हुआ होगा, क्योंकि ऐसे कमेंट की उनसे उम्मीद थी. और जहां सीताराम येचुरी,
दोबारा बोलिएगा.
He says that about, Irfan Habib has described renovation of Jallianwala Bagh as an corporatization of monuments that was leading to the loss of their heritage value. And Sitaram Yechury has said that insulting our martyrs, Sitaram Yechury has said that it is insulting our martyrs. Jallianwala Bagh massacre galvanized our freedom struggle. Only those who stayed away from the epic freedom struggle can scandalize this. So they were part of freedom struggle, and they have right to criticize.
Let me answer both.
Yes,
let me answer both. Irfan's
and remember,
the answer about the corporate sector. मेरा सीताराम येचुरी साहब पे मुझे आ जाना चाहिए. आपको एक दोबारा लेक्चर कराना पड़ेगा मेरा इनको लेकर के. श्रीमान सीताराम येचुरी जी, कामरेड येचुरी जी, आप दूसरों के ऊपर उंगली उठा रहे हैं कि they didn't participate in the freedom struggle. Tell me, Yechury, what CPI did in 1942? CPI supported the British who had tortured, massacred and looted this country for 170 years at the base of CPI of Soviet Union. I will give them documents after documents, and they know that. They got our people, heroes of 42, arrested. They spied on our people who were fighting. These are all files in the National Archives. And they talk of martyrs. This Sitaram Yechury talks of martyrs whose own party man who said we'll donate blood in 62 for our Jawans, and they threw him out of the party. This Sitaram Yechury, who never considered China as an invader in 1962, who now also refuses to consider China as an invader in Ganwal, he's talking of martyrs. He's talking of nationalism. Arey, sir, these communists, they use our democratic values to get their aim. You pick up Sitaram Yechury's, their party's documents. Who knows better than me, because I have been a member there for 21 years, till 1996. Their aim is to establish the dictatorship of the proletariat. Dictatorship of the proletariat. And they use our constitutional liberties to achieve that aim. They support China today, who's the biggest money lender in the world, who usurps the lands of all other countries, who's hobnobbing with the terrorists and Taliban, and now they take instructions from China and participate in their meets. They are talking of liberties. Is there any right or liberty in China given to any of the citizens? So I considered it below my dignity now to comment on these people who are anti-nationals, sold out to China, earlier to Russia, and now they talk of Indian martyrs and all those aspects related to that.
तो चलिए फिर इरफान हबीब के बारे में चर्चा बिल्कुल भी नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि जिसको ये लगता है कि वो एक गवर्नर को भी शोर मचाकर उनके हाथ से कागज खींचकर चुप करा सकता है।
नहीं सर, ये वो इरफान हबीब नहीं है सर।
अच्छा,
ये दूसरे इरफान हबीब है। ये दूसरा इरफान हबीब है। ये जूनियर इरफान हबीब है। ये मेरे साथ का पड़ा हुआ है।
ओके ओके चलिए, आपने क्लेरिफाई कर दिया, क्योंकि हरकतों से तो मुझे ऐसे ही लग रहा था कि शायद दोनों एक ही है।
नहीं, वो सेम स्कूल। देखिए, ये लेफ्ट स्कूल बना हुआ है और इनका प्रोपेगेंडा कैंपेन बड़ा तगड़ा होता है, इसीलिए वो द वायर लिख रहा है, ये कर रहा है, वो अनफा खातून बोल रही है, बरखा दत्त उधर बोल रही है। ये इनका एक नेटवर्क है। वो जो बर्बादी वाला गैंग है, ये पूरा का पूरा रेजिग्नेशन गैंग और अवार्ड वापसी गैंग, ये वो पूरा गैंग है। तो
मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जब एक कंट्रोवर्सी क्रिएट की जाती है, जैसे कि नॉन इशू था ये, साधारण लोग उसको देखते खुश होते, मैं भी गया हूं कई बार वहां और देखकर बड़े श्रद्धा और सम्मान के साथ मैंने शहीदों को स्मरण किया है, और आज उन्हीं शहीदों के नाम पर एक गंदी सी राजनीति हो रही है। तो कांग्रेस को या कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी को कोई इससे लाभ तो मिल सकता है, लेकिन मेरी समझ नहीं आ रहा कि क्या लाभ होगा। वो कुछ ऐसा
मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं। जब हम when we make such museums, I made 6. What is in my mind? That the moment a person enters a museum, and when after seeing and the things one goes out, one should not have developed the respect for our revolutionaries and martyrs and freedom fighters, but one should himself be a firm nationalist. Let me give you in 2 minutes what I have done in this museum, sir. In this museum, in the very first gallery, we have called it Sada Punjab. And we have shown the prosperity of Punjab. What Punjab used to be. And how over the centuries, Punjab had to face invaders. Punjab defended India. How it went through that. Then we showed the advent of Sikhism in Punjab also. That how we talked earlier of Takshila also in Punjab, the first university of the world. Then we talked of Sikhism, Guru Nanak Ji's Sandesh, all these things, brought it up to the coming of the British, and then showed how British exploited Punjab. Then we showed how during the First World War, the money and men of Punjab were being brutalized by the British for their benefit during the First World War, where we have nothing to do. Then we have shown our Gadar heroes, the heroes of the Gadar party, sitting there in America, going from Punjab, Kartar Singh Saraba, many of these, we have shown them over here. The activities of the Gadar party in relation. We have shown the massacre of 1915 September in Singapore, when the Punjab regiment takes over Singapore for 4 days, and more than 276 of them are shot there by the British in Singapore. Do people know this history? Is this mentioned by the history books written by these leftists and congressmen in any of the history books? How much importance they give to Gadar party in the history books? And then after that, we have shown that what Punjab got in return of all exploitation and services given during the First World War was the Rowlatt Act, the Black Act. We have shown how the country, how the Congress, how Mahatma Gandhi gave the call for opposing the Rowlatt Act. And in relation to that, when the protest started, we have shown how in Delhi on 30th March itself, 50 people were shot dead. Tell me, any history books mention this? That 50 people were shot dead in Delhi outside the railway station, in Delhi railway station on 30th March. And we have gone through the events from 30th March up to 13th April in Punjab. Then when they have even, removed the name of this nationalist Saifuddin Kichlu out of things, Then when Kichlu and Satpal and all, they were arrested. And when people in Amritsar protested against their arrests, that they should be released, that was the beginning of Jallianwala Bagh. And when police firing and all, it is not that the firing took place in Jallianwala Bagh. The firing had taken place earlier also. 8th April and all, people had died in that. And that's when we show how General Dyer, Governor Michael, decides to call in General Dyer from Jalandhar with the army and declares martial law in Punjab. And then we have shown the events of the day. The people were happy, people were celebrating all over. And that young boy who went, वो बजाता हुआ एक जो कनस्तर की वो होती है उस पे बजाता हुआ गया मीटिंग की इंफॉर्मेशन देते हुए सब. We have shown that when the meeting started, how the British sent a plane to recce that meeting first. What is going on? And then we have shown how General Dyer marches into it. There is anxiety among the people. But O.U.S.R.H.H. and all the leaders present there say, no, don't be afraid. We are all peaceful people. We are doing a peaceful meeting. We have shown that. And then we have shown the Dyer. The firing, the killing, the whole night experience. Ratna Devi का पूरा एक dialogue डाला है हमने उसमें म्यूजियम के अंदर भी और साउंड एंड लाइट शो के अंदर भी. The single lady. We have shown how the kids, 6-month-old kid, 3-year-old kid, they were shot by the bullets of the British at that time. And then we have shown in the museum, the country didn't know about it. There was no information. Press was blacked out. We went and researched and we picked up the foreign newspapers where this incident was reported. And how in Australian newspapers, in British newspapers, General Dyer was being glorified as the savior of the empire. And in contradiction to that, again, the statement of Valera, the Irish president, what he says about Jallianwala Bagh. Then we have shown the resignations when the things started moving out, news went out. Tagore gives up this thing, Gandhiji gives up this thing, others give up this thing. The Congress forms a committee under Malviya to inquire into the whole thing and to humiliate the British. The Congress decides its session to be held in Amritsar only. We talk of all that Amritsar session and everything. And before that, we have done another thing, sir, which was never done and which doesn't form part of the history books. The Jallianwala massacre took place on 13th April. But no books mention that on 14th April, Gujranwala was air-bombed. When people protested in Gujranwala, the planes went Royal Air Force and they bombed the people who assembled for meetings over there. How many people died over there?
इसकी कोई चर्चा नहीं होती.
Sir, 2 minutes में बता. One more. I have mentioned in that a special train, military train, moved from Amritsar to Lahore because Lahore was taken over by the people. And this train, on the way, all the villagers who innocently come to see the train, all the villagers were shot dead right from Amritsar up to Lahore on the way side. Has anyone counted ever that? How many of them died there? And these special trains from Lahore were sent then to other regions. How many were arrested? What martial law affected on Punjab? We have shown this. And then we have shown Udham Singh. And mind it, sir, there was a tweet by Rahul Gandhi saying that martyrs have been dishonored and this Irfan and Yechuri doing it. Sir, do you know the Congress resolution on Udham Singh? After that incident, after he shot Dyer.
प्रोफेसर साहब, हम इसकी बात नहीं, सुनिए, राहुल गांधी की बात नहीं करेंगे. बिना बात के सम्मान दिया जा रहा है, बिना बात के रेफरेंस दिया जा रहा है जिसका वो पात्र नहीं है. हम बात करेंगे उसी.
मैं एक चीज बता दूं आपको. The Congress resolution on Udham Singh was, this is the work of an insane man, and we hope it would not have any effect on our negotiations. They were negotiating partition at that time. और उसके बाद में सर यही नहीं किया है, लास्ट गैलरी जो मैंने वहां पे म्यूजियम में दी है, इन द लास्ट गैलरी I made a gallery, icons of nationalism from the soil of Punjab, in which right from 1857 up to Azad Hind Fauj, Colonel Gulzara Singh, Colonel Dhillo, Colonel Amrik Singh Gill, ये आईएनए के जो ब्रेव्स हैं, इन तक की हमने वहां पे फोटोग्राफ सर वो सब दिए, रिमाइंडिंग द यूथ ऑफ द कंट्री कि दिस इज हाउ पंजाब sacrificed for India's freedom. This was the role of Punjab, which sacrificed for the freedom. And then they say that the environment is not such. When people come out to the Salvation Ground, after the show is over, the last song there in the Salvation Ground is Watan ki raah mein watan ke naujawan shaheed. That is what we have done.
Sir,
I tell you one more thing I'll tell you, sir. Besides this dirty politics, there is another factor which is going on here in this some of this museum. That is a corporate war. A company which made a mess of Netaji's sound and light show in Calcutta at Victoria Memorial. That company is commenting on this sound and light show. Another company, because they want the contracts to themselves, and if anyone has done a good work, I challenge that you listen to the narration, sir, or those who have listened to the narration of Sound and Light Show on 28th August. Even for 5 seconds, one would not like one's, ears and eyes to go the other side. Of course, there are scopes of improvement. Nothing is perfect in this world. But what has happened is, for the first time, show me a better sound and light show in India than this lighted show. अरे सर, लाल किले से भी 200 ट्रक भर के मट्टी निकाली थी. ये कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर को अपोज कर रहे हैं. और एंड इफ दे आर सो मच अपोज टू द कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर, सर, then why do they wear the clothes made by the corporate sector? And why do they go and buy and use things made by multinationals? I don't want to go into politics. But when these kind of attacks are made, it's disastrous. Sir, any questions, sir? Hello? Hello? I, in fact, would tell people to please go and see the monument. It is not a theme park. A theme park is where you do ha ha ha, where you clap, where you do leisure, where you drink, where you eat. This has 3 components. One is the Smarak. There is place for doing meditation also at the Smarak near the Jyoti. The other is a museum. And the third is a sound and light show. So what is the problem? At least that, you see, I appreciate Captain Amrinder Singh, who was present throughout, who has seen the museum, who has seen the Smarak. He so strongly defended it. And this lady, sir, Kishwar, who has written an article today in Indian Express, she is the lady I am charging now, who took 15 lakhs rupees from that company to write the script and all, and did nothing. And did over 2 books. One was even not relevant to the theme. And did a 2-page script. And now she's shouting over there and writing letters to the Prime Minister. Some Lord Desai's wife. Cheats. They are. सर
बीच में काफी कमेंट्स आ रहे हैं और क्वेश्चन भी आ रहे हैं, और चूंकि टाइम अभी हमारे पास 10 मिनट का बचा है, मैं कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन, कुछ कमेंट्स यहाँ आपके साथ शेयर कर रहा हूँ, और उनको रेस्पॉन्ड करने के बाद मैं आखिरी एक पॉइंट पर डिस्कशन चाहता हूँ आपके साथ। और पहले तो आप ये देखिए कि हमारे साथ वर्ड 360 विद मनु, डॉक्टर मनु है आयरलैंड से।
जी
उनका काफी जानकारी है इस विषय पर, और पत्रकारिता में कई दशकों से जुड़ी हुई हैं, और अकेली भारतीय आयरलैंड में जो भारत का झंडा वहां बुलंद किया हुआ है। और इस तरह के प्रोग्राम में शायद आप और वो बहुत अच्छा कंटेंट तैयार कर सकते हैं। उनका कहना है कि ये जो डिस्प्ले हो रहा है, बिग क्वेश्चन इज, were these politicians sleeping when renovation work was going on? Next year election is coming to Punjab, so they start their game like Dyer. एक तो ये क्वेश्चन है, और इसी से रिलेटेड एक और मेरा क्वेश्चन जो मैं आपसे कहा था कि बाद में पूछूंगा, और वो आगे ये पूछती हैं कि these politicians are new General Dyer whom are still doing their politics on public dead bodies. बड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग कमेंट है ये। और एक लक्षिता ने भी कुछ कमेंट किए हैं, और वो कहती है, हु एल्स देन ट्रू हिस्टोरियन लाइक कपिल सर कैन प्लान टू कंजर्व इंपॉर्टेंट हिस्टोरिकल मॉन्यूमेंट्स। लक्षिता, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग, एंड थैंक यू इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोफेसर कपिल कुमार। वंस अगेन डॉक्टर मनु एक ये शेयर कर रही है न्यूज, एक खबर पड़ी है सर जिसमें ये लिखा था कि जो यहाँ आपको लिख रही हूँ, वो लिखती है कि उधम सिंह ने जलियांवाला बाग हत्याकांड के उत्तरदायी जनरल डायर, जिसका पूरा नाम रेजिनाल्ड एडवर्ड हैरी डायर था, लेकिन उनका कहना है कि इतिहासकारों का मानना है कि प्रशासक ओ डायर जहां उधम सिंह की गोली से मरा, वहीं गोलीबारी को अंजाम देने वाले जनरल डायर 1927 में पक्षाघात और अन्य कई तरह की बीमारियों से ग्रसित होकर मारा था। तो क्या ये सही है फैक्ट, या इसमें भी कुछ और खेला हो रहा है?
नहीं नहीं सर, आई हैव नॉट सीन एनीथिंग सच, एनी डॉक्यूमेंट।
तो
और मैं एक चीज यहाँ और बता दूं आपको कि हमारे यहाँ अंग्रेजी लिटरेचर में रूडर्ड किपलिंग को बड़ी इज्जत के साथ आज भी पढ़ाया जाता है। एंड रूडर्ड किपलिंग वाज द वन हु क्रिएटेड ए फंड फॉर जनरल डायर एंड अप्रिशिएटेड हिम। Yeah, I put that in the museum. I put one of the panels on that in the museum. And I must thank this girl who's saying that I have done it. You see, there is always scope for improvement. But I am not one of the historians like the leftist historians that do write history from the ideology. I write history based on facts. If I don't have the evidence for that, I will not write it. If I don't have the evidence for that, I won't say it. And I don't write, history is not ifs, buts and perhaps.
इसी बात को अप्रिशिएट किया है बोधिसत्य तरफदार, ये कलकत्ता से, एंड ही से दैट प्रोफेसर कपिल कुमार्स वर्क आर हिस्टोरिकली एक्यूरेट as he did in Bradford and in Kolkata. Same he appreciates in case of Jallianwala also. Last question which was turning in my mind, you mentioned about renovation at other places, and why there were no controversies or no criticism. I am acutely aware, and I am sure our viewers also are aware of a trust called Sir Aga Khan Trust. This trust is working in many countries besides working in India. But this trust predominantly works for preserving and restoration of Islamic monuments. And many cosmetic changes were done with impunity and with protection. There were no comments. So well preserved monuments in India, especially in Delhi, we see thanks to Sir Aga Khan Trust, where arbitrarily they have changed the architectural design, they change the theme, they change the layout also. No
Why
comments.
so?
Yeah, no comments. And now I see a very big, they call it Kalash, gold plated on Humayun tomb. There is no approval from ASI about the design. No one confirmed that this design exactly was which they restored. It was their own thematic idea and liberties taken. So when such trusts take liberties, no comments from historian of that leaning of which Sitaram Yechuri is famous for. Why so single one-sided commentary on what government does, especially present government? Even good intention are criticized, but Aga Khan Trust misadventures are never brought to limelight. Why so?
Sir, it is very simple thing that the Indian history has been so politicized right from the British period because they know that they were fighting here a civilization which is 7,000 years old. And unless we destroy each and every aspect of that civilization, whether it is education, whether it is science, whether it is medicine, whether it is customs, whether it is festivals, we won't be able to rule over here. This was not like coming and ruling Africa. Then this thing was further taken away by a Marxist because Karl Marx said in 1853, India has no history. Its history is only of invaders. These people deny even Indian nationhood. They say India had no nation. You see, this is what they talk. So why I don't expect from them that these people will go on there. This secularism is there on their mind. I want every monument in this country to be protected, irrespective of which religion it belongs to. I am a historian. That means you are committed to history and you are committed to conservation. But when you remain silent, what Ajanta Ellora? Why should we beg Japan to give money for its conservation? Why didn't the Congress governments release those monies? Is there a match in the world of the Kailash temple at Ellora? Made out of one hill. Look at the architecture. Who must have thought of that? But since it is Indian, it has to be ridiculous. Go to Hampi, all these places. And I'll show you sites, sir. I went to some sites in Karnataka. Very intentionally, I'm forgetting, this was Badami, now which place? Where I went to those caves. Very intentionally, on the road which goes over there, people have been brought from outside and settled over there to block the roads. The road of the museum is blocked. They are conservationists. Where are these conservationists? I saw in a archaeological protected monument near to that, the place Ayol, where this the old temple structures are architect is made and then spread out to all over India. There were tractors parked over there. There were buffaloes parked over there. And this was a government over there. What were they doing? Please, for our heritage, for our conservation, for our history, ये अपने पॉलिटिकल चोगे उतार दीजिए सर एंड टॉक ऑफ इंडियन हेरिटेज वो तो बोल देते हैं संस्कृत इज अ डेड लैंग्वेज एंड दोज वेरी पीपल आर सेइंग दैट whose own civilizations were not born when Sanskrit was flourishing as a language. They will deny it. We were giving the world the message, Sarvdharm Sambhave, Vasudev Kutumbakam at a time, thousands of years back when UN was not there. But that all has to be denied because it is Indian culture. Or it is
So,
related to Hinduism.
Professor, time is over. Almost, 1 minute we have. With the very sobering comment, I would like to close the discussion. And again, this comment comes from Professor Dr. Manu, and she says that our historians have a big responsibility to transfer history from one generation to another. So this responsibility needs to be free from politicians. Only history tell the past of our nation, or for that matter, any nation. So this history must be free from bias, free from interpretation. History is all about facts and dates and those elements which are scientifically proven or which can be proved. So that reminds me of Romila Thapar's admission during Ram Janmabhoomi case, where she said that she has written the report without actually ever being to the site. Uh, Professor Kapil Kumar, it has been wonderful discussing this matter with you. It is of importance to our viewers. They have correct perspective now, and I am hopeful and expect that they will join once again for our forthcoming discussion on similar important discussion, which will be about what is being done in Kashi. There is a lot of, again, discussion. People keep on asking questions, and Kashi is something which will make every Indian very proud when entire project is over. But then before that, controversies started, and let's address all those controversies and point of discussion in our next discussion, provided you are available for such discussion once again, as you have been very kind this time. And I thank you for what you have shared today. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your cooperation and very enlightening discussion. From Patriots Forum, we are thankful for all support we have been receiving in past and hope to receive in future also. And yes, last I just display the comment of Lakshna Mahajan. True, when history has been greatly distorted, it requires safe hands to be retrieved and passed on to next generation. Thank you, Lakshna Mahajan, and we hope that everyone remains very happy, healthy, and cheerful. And God bless you for what you are doing, Professor Saab. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Captain.